Welcome to the House of Legends podcast, where great women become exceptional. I am your host, Graciela, founder and CEO of the House of Legends by Graciela, a mindset coach and mother of three beautiful kids. My mission and passion is to provide you with the tools that will allow you to unlock and bring out the best version of yourself, which is the key to all change. Some of those tools are mindset, identity work, and emotional mastery. Not only that, but I will also bring you powerful conversations with legends like you, showcasing their journey, life work, and allowing us to learn from their experiences and insights. So don't miss an episode. Tune in each week to the House of Legends podcast and let's unlock the power of your own legend. Let's dive in today's episode.
And every time I'm on a podcast and people ask me to introduce who I am, I think to myself, that's a big question. So I'm gonna go for the professional, for
Good.
the professional media bio, and then I'm sure that whoever's listening will get a feel for who I am as we go through the episode today.
Okay.
So professionally, I'm a master coach. I'm an executive consultant and a subconscious reprogramming expert. I specialize in helping CEOs, leaders, executives to unblock themselves from what's keeping them stuck of living their dream life and really performing in their business in a way that is sustainable, that is in alignment to who it is that they're here to be, and also, increases their impact, their influence, and their income, of course. So I really work on supporting people to reprogram their minds for aligned success, to change their story so that they can become well-known thought leaders as an authentic expression of who they truly are, and to take action steps that are really going to supercharge their business.
I love that because you're not only sharing with us your professional background, but also you put it really clear on what do you get to help the leaders here. And I do have a few questions that I would love to extract from that. Celine, I would love to know what was for you and your specific journey, what was the turning point that led you to wanting to do this work, or all the time it was like this? You wanted to help people and their mindset, helping them programming their subconscious mind. Or what was for you? What was that thing that led you up to say, you know what, this is my call in this season of my life. I want to do this.
So I would say the first pivotal moment
Yeah.
was in 2016 when I was working in corporate America as a brand strategist already for a few years. And after a few years of running the hamster wheel in corporate America, I started to get very fatigued for many reasons, both on a physical level. I was, working 10-hour days, waking up super early in the morning, going to bed really late, living in noisy, busy New York City in a tiny little apartment, sharing a tiny little apartment, paying a crazy, ridiculous rent, and wondering, is this
Yeah.
all there is? Is this what life is?
Yeah.
And then there was the mental and emotional, spiritual side of things, which involved just wondering, I feeling like I was meant for more, wondering if living a fulfilling, successful life was actually looked like this, because it sure didn't feel like it. And long story short, I hit a breaking point in my life where the universe, did a course correction. And I came to this realization that the only way that I could change my life and have a shot at living a life of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment was by doing something drastically different. I had to change big time. And so fast forward 9 months after this insight, and I was on a one-way flight to Europe with a one-way ticket, and this dream, this social experiment that I had designed on my own to circumnavigate the globe by couch surfing without using the website. And what that means is that I challenged myself
Yeah.
to make my way around the world by human connection, through the power of human connection, by just meeting people or asking friends of friends, and literally sleeping on their couches and making my way around that way. To test, I wanted to prove to myself, I wanted to experience, you could say
Mm.
my soul wanted to experience firsthand what it was like to take a leap of faith and be held and caught by the universe,
Oh, okay.
and what it was like to trust humankind, and to trust that if I woke up every day and I did what I loved the most, and I did what inspired me in my heart, that life would get better. And not only that, that I'd be able to create and design the life that I wanted to live. And that's how I got started in this work, not
Wow.
having a clue, having quitting my job with very little in my bank account, and just taking a leap of faith into the world. And only every day I would wake up and I only had three focuses. I wanted to write, I wanted to meet people, and I wanted to travel. That's it. And fast forward a year from that, I had been invited to be a Forbes columnist, which I was for over 6 years. I had been featured in several publications, um, including Forbes, Business Insider, some really big publications. I had grown my following my first year to about 10,000 people. And now I had people, after a year of sharing my story every single day, meeting new people around the world every single day, traveling the world, people started to ask me, how are you doing this? How are you building a personal brand? You don't even have a business. And I have a startup and I can't even do what you're doing. I had entrepreneurs approaching me asking, how can I be seen? How can I authentically express myself? How can I create a brand that people feel drawn to? And I just started helping people just because. Just I was like, oh, I don't really know, but let me take a look at your business. Let me look at this and let me guess. And eventually that led me down the path of understanding that one of my soul's calling was to be a coach and to support people to really see themselves, their beauty, their brilliance, their divinity in the mirror, and to be able to translate that into a message that can touch even more people's lives. So I didn't choose this career, is the short answer. I
Yeah.
didn't think I was going to be a coach. It just, this work found me and I found it.
It sounds so profound. And while you were sharing, and this is the power I think that has, or when we share our journey, when you were sharing your the journey you're being at the corporate, working long hours and thinking to yourself, this is it. This is how life's supposed to be. I picture myself. I was working a couple years ago, I will say 2019, when I was in a dental place, helping people, having the 401k, the vacations, working in a prestige office, doing what from outside looks like a success for most of the people. And for me, it was like I felt trapped. I felt like that's it. This is it. Like working Monday to Thursday, and then 3 days off, and then coming back and repeat, paste and I will say copy and paste. And another thing that you mentioned as well, you're that make taking that leap of faith. And I think here's when so many, and I'm not assuming, because most of the entrepreneurs, we are at one point or another, we are making that decision or going all in. What was for you right there? Do you have any, like, did you share this with your family, with your friends, or you just said, you know what, I'm just gonna do this, and I'm gonna, like you mentioned, I'm gonna trust God, universal source, I call it God, that I'm gonna be supported, that I'm gonna be held in this journey.
Mm. So, an important disclaimer is I didn't trust God that I would be held in this journey.
Mm,
I wanted
you
to
wanted.
learn how to trust God to hold me in this journey. And
Okay.
that to me was a test. to see if he would.
Mm.
And it's a really important detail because a lot of people, when they're on this verge and they're contemplating taking a leap of faith, when they're contemplating making a really big change in their life, they get really scared. And not only that, but they tell themselves a story that they won't be supported, that it won't work out, that something will go wrong, that it will lead them to their demise. And that's exactly what I was doing.
Mm.
But what led me to take the leap of faith, because I think sometimes it's inaccessible to have to tell somebody who's scared, who's trapped in their own fear, oh, but you just need to trust God, universe, source. You just need to trust. Just trust. I find it's too wide of a gap to ask someone to do that
Yeah.
because it takes a lot of training. It takes a lot of faith is a muscle. Trust is a muscle that needs to be grown. And in my own journey, it was especially in my own history, my childhood history, the way I grew up, I had very few reasons to trust people.
Mm.
And unfortunately, so many of us also are on that boat of from due to your family history, due to the where you grew up, how you grew up, it's different traumas that you may have incurred in your life. It might be really, really hard to trust anyone, let alone God. But for me, it wasn't about, okay, I'm scared. Okay, I trust God. Let jump. It was more like, I'm scared and this hole isn't going, it's only leading me to more of a hole. I'm not going anywhere with this approach. What if I do something crazy and just say, fuck it, and see, see if I can, let's see if this thing is real. Let me check out if this whole, the universe has your back shit is real.
Wow. That is even more powerful
Yeah. It's like, I
because,
want to check it out.
yeah,
Let me
because,
see. Are you going to hold me? Are you going to catch me?
whoa.
And in my mind, it wasn't even about God. In my mind, it was about people.
Mm.
Like, are people good enough to help someone who's in need? Is that true? Or is everyone just an asshole? I was coming from a very cynical place. I mean, fast forward 8 years now, and my trust is deep. My trust in people is deep. My faith is getting stronger. But that's me today after 8 years plus of evidence that this stuff works. That was not me 8 years ago.
Mm.
And so that is important. And the first piece, the first part of your question about my friends and family and things like that, well, everyone had their own opinion. Some
Yeah.
people thought I was batshit crazy. Some people were like, "You're gonna get killed. You're gonna something like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Are you out of your mind that you've worked so hard? You went to a prestigious university. You're working for one of the top agencies in the country. Like you have a
Yep.
brand behind you. Why would you quit and do nothing and like literally not have a job, be unemployed? What's wrong with you? You're throwing your life away, including my family." And then there were people, the few people who were like, wow, that's cool. You're brave. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then there are people that's like, I don't know what you're doing, but how can I help? I'll help you. Sometimes because they were so inspired, and sometimes because they're like, I need to help this girl or she's going to get in trouble. But
Wherever
either
either
way,
way.
like some people were like, I'm really excited because you're going to make it. Some people are like, I need to help her because otherwise she's not going to survive, and everything in between. And this was a really big lesson for me because I've had many times in my life where I've made a decision that made no sense rationally,
Yeah.
that I've had a gut feeling. My intuition said, do this, go there, make this jump, do this thing. And if I told people about it, everyone would give me different opinions and everything in between. But when it comes to the matters of the soul, I believe my primary job is to learn how to listen. And
Mm.
when I'm listening, which is something that can be felt through the body because the body is the barometer of the soul, there's a very distinct feeling in the body when you're feeling aligned. It's like this aligned, calm, expanded feeling of, yes, this is right for me, as opposed to the contracted mental masturbation of constantly be worrying, stressing, worrying about things that comes when you are stuck in your mind. So ultimately, I listened to that voice. And back then, it was a very subtle whisper. And
Mm,
today, it's very clear voice
mm.
because I gave it power, because I gave it a platform, because I listened, it grew stronger.
Yeah, and I think it really, really important part is that you experience, like you after you decide, you took action because sometimes, like you said, and you mentioned something that I never heard before, and thank you for sharing. This is gonna be something that I wanna borrow from you. I'm not gonna steal, I'm gonna borrow. So sometimes we have this mental masturbation that we want things, we get so excited, but we don't act. And when
Mhm,
we act, we have proof. And the more proof that we have, we trust more and we're building that trust.
mhm,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I would love to know as well, Celine, one of the things, and you mentioned as well here, that when we are about to do something, we're about to move in, it could be in any area of our lives. Sometimes we feel held because of the past story, because of childhood, because what happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even yesterday. So right here, I would love to know how you approach that when it comes to take action right now. How you were able to rewrite that story, or I for me, I will say that rewriting it is not trying to say that it never happened, but how you rewrite or reframe that meaning, that in order for you to no longer projecting in the future.
So this question is one that I could spend 6 months answering in a container with someone, but I will do my best
Also,
to
also,
to to give a very, very high level overview. This is what I specialize in when it comes to supporting clients to really rewrite their story on a subconscious level, which then translates into the external world that they create. And I do this through my rewrite your life method. That's how I support people to subconsciously reprogram. Now, we wouldn't have the bandwidth to dive into this method in great detail, but the the broad strokes of it is this: the healing your past traumas and rewriting your story from one of victimhood and being at causal effect to one of being the creator of your own life and really, um, you know, being in a space of self mastery or developing self mastery is not just a few step framework.
mm,
It is a lifelong
yeah,
process.
it is.
And it is something that when we begin to have our awakening journey to awakening to the divinity of which we are and awakening to, I'm sorry, there's a cat here that doesn't belong to, is it okay that there's a
It's
cat
all, it's all good.
and
You
it's
know,
not my cat and it just entered and it won't leave me alone. Just sorry, 1 second.
no, it's all good.
Oh my God. Disrupted. Okay.
It's all good.
I can't because when this cat, it's a stray cat and it comes in and it starts climbing on me and I'm like, I'm not. Okay, here we go. Can I just start again from that?
Yeah, of course. But I have
Okay.
to share something here with you, and I
Yeah.
think the audience will laugh. You mentioned about this cat. My cat, she has 5 kitties, and all were trying to climb here, and I have to show them. But they're like little small. But well, they
Yeah.
all the energy. I don't know, but they were like small. They're like 4 weeks.
Yeah. Let's get back in because I'm forgetting the thread right now. We're talking about other things. I'm getting a little distracted. So it was about we were talking about divinity and
Yeah, we were talking about how we
oh, the lifelong process. Okay, okay. There you go. I got it.
awesome.
Okay. Um, when you start to awaken to the divinity within you, and oh my God, this fucking cat. Hold on. The door just opened.
All good.
Hey, Jesus. Okay, here we go. All right. Let me just get back in to the Bible. Okay. When you start to awaken to the divinity within you, when you start to wake up to the realization that there's so much more to life than what we've been conditioned to believe is true. You know, wake up, make the food, go to work, go to school, come back, sleep, watch TV. You know, the mainstream matrix programming of just turning us into these, you know, biologic machines. And when we start to wake up to the spirit that moves through us, to our soul, one of the first things that happens is what, you know, we can describe as it happens more than once in a lifetime, but let's say the first one is pretty rough. Is, you know, that dark night of the soul, where we really start to realize the ways that we are a byproduct of our conditioning, the ways that we have been acting and behaving and reacting to life based on what we think life to be, how much money we should make, what kind of job we should be doing, how we should be acting, what kind of friends we should be having, all the shoulds that we can get programmed into since when we were very small children. And what comes out of that is, yeah, there's this really deep, dark, some very painful for a lot of people realization of all the years that we've spent not being who we're meant to be, and all the years we've spent being disconnected from our true essence. It's very painful. And this is when we talk about, you know, traumas, when we talk about past conditioning, when we talk about this, the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves, which is the most important story we will ever tell, is the story we tell ourselves about ourselves.
Yeah.
And so many times, you know, when clients come to me with the intention of rewriting their story, they're not coming to me with the intention of rewriting their internal story, but they want to be more visible in their space. They want to get their message out authentically to more people, more of their audience. And they hit a point where they can't quite put their finger on what's wrong. They can't quite understand, why is it that I feel so blocked expressing myself authentically? Why is it that I'm in hiding and can't seem to go visible? Why is it that I'm know in my soul there's more to me, but it somehow can't seem to express it in a way that is allowing me to live the life that I want to live, and also to share all the gifts that are inside of me with the world. And when we dig deeper and deeper into it, it comes down to all the ways that they're still believing that they're not worthy, that they're still believing that they're not enough, that they're still believing there's something wrong with that they're still believing that something needs to be fixed. And what you could call the quote unquote unresolved traumas that are living inside of their body. And so when we're talking about rewriting your story on a fundamental level, the real work, you know, I'm not talking about let's rewrite your brand story, give me a Word document, I'll put some edits on it, because that is, you know, that's the output in the end. You know, I've had clients who have gone on to create very well-known brands to you know, grow their business 6, 7, 8 figures and beyond as a result of their story. But that's not because their story has excellent copywriting in it, but it's because their story is embodied and integrated into the version of themselves that they're meant to be, and people respond to vibration. So all of that said, this transition is really about the willingness to look at, to go a layer deeper and look at, when it comes to the things that you don't yet have in your life, when it comes to the places and spaces where you're still struggling in your business, in your life, 9 times out of 10, it's not about the strategy. It's not about the marketing, the Facebook ad. It's not about the team member who's driving you crazy. It's about a belief system that you have about yourself, that you're telling yourself about why you can't make that kind of money, or why you're not supported in your team, why people don't care about your message. And that's the root of what needs to be looked at and resolved. And this is what we call the quote unquote inner work.
Yeah.
Now, it's not necessarily complicated, but it is work. And it's not necessarily something for some people, yeah, it will take years. But what I tell my clients is that this might take you some time, but that doesn't mean you have to wait for your success until the day that this is healed. No, 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 that's not how it works. You respond, the universe responds to your action. If you're willing to work on it, if you're willing to release yourself, if you're willing to set yourself free, the universe responds to that. It's not going to be like waiting until the day that you set yourself free, until the day that you can make the money you want to make. No, 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 no. It will respond to the fact that you are in the process of expanding your money mindset, for example, and healing the part of you that feels like you're not worthy of it at the same time. So
Yeah.
this is a process of subconscious reprogramming and changing your belief systems, upgrading them, and emotional management, mindset mastery. So there's no short go-to answer for this other than begin to ask yourself the right questions, begin to look within, and begin to understand that, yes, you can change your story and you can change it in a way that will fundamentally change your entire life and your business along with it. But it
Mm.
starts with that decision to make the move. And that's what we've been talking about this entire time. It's to, for me, it was buy the ticket, leave the country, have faith, or to have faith in that you can have faith, or whatever it is that you need to make a big move towards your destiny.
Mm. That is so, so incredible. And thank you for being really, really clear that this is a process. This is not just a short answer that, like you said, it could be contained in one word sheet or whatever. When it comes to that, and I've been working a lot on myself as well. This is the non-sexy part, and this sometimes is really painful because you're like you said, I do have the strategy, I do have the team members, I do have everything, I do have the beautiful pictures, I do have the content, and what is going on that people are not responding to that. And it's because you mentioned people are responding to the story that I'm telling to myself when things are not moving. People are responding to what do I really feel inside, and that shit work, excuse my language here, that shit work, I mean, it hurts because it's like, wow, I've been holding, I am the only one that I've been holding myself. And when it comes to um, remove the layers, if we can say it in that sense, it hurts. And it's like you said, you don't have to take time, but it's work because you have to go deep. It's not like a surface level that just with one affirmation or just writing a new story in a paper is going to work out. You have to go deep and look at what is the thing that is producing that. Why I'm always recycling the same thing. Why I'm getting the same amount of money, or why I'm not allowing myself to be seen. Sometimes like you mentioned as well, the power of asking yourself questions and questions that feel uncomfortable as fuck. Because it's not
Mm-hmm.
comfortable to see that it all the time was me. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
we hire experts like you, that we can be seen and held in that is safe space, because
Mm-hmm.
this is not this is the non-sexy part. Like I said before, this is the real thing that moves the needle, that actually, as a result of doing this work, we get to see those brands. We get to see how just effortless from outside works for that woman, for that man. But it's due because of the programmation or the work that are doing behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to this work, Celine, we have to be ready to receive as well, because sometimes we tried, and in the past I used to I was seeing some things and I was trying to put my hands on, and when the people is not ready or whether they're not asked for the help, it's like it's never going to work out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when clients, like you mentioned, approach you, go to you for a certain a concern that they have, what is the first thing that you get to do with them? Because sometimes I can think that it's my, like you said, it's my copy or it's my brand story or it's one thing, and how you can, how as an expert you are able to see what is really going on.
Well, the first thing when clients are coming to me that we need to do is we need to look at the truth,
Mm,
because nothing will get done and nothing will change and nothing will improve if the client continues to operate under the illusion of the story they're telling themselves. And they
can
come to me to disrupt that and to look at what is really, really going on. And what I mean by that is there's the symptom and what we think is the problem. And then there's actually the root of where this is beginning. So, an example, a symptom is I'm posting online and I'm putting myself out there, and it feels like the way that I'm showing up is not truly authentic to who I am inside. I'm posting all this content, I've built this brand, I'm making this money, but I feel like I need to keep up this fake brand that isn't actually who I really am at my core. So the symptoms are I'm tired, I'm exhausted. My social media team is costing me a fortune. I'm really tired of social media, but I need to be on it because my business is codependent on it. So these are all the things. And then you go on a layer underneath that, and it's like, oh, great. What's the story that you're telling yourself about these symptoms? Because you have the symptoms, which you can, some of them statistically prove. Here is my engagement dropping. Here is this team member and how much they're charging every month. Like to a degree, there's certain, the symptoms can be measured, can be looked at externally. And then there's the story that you're telling yourself about what's happening. Oh, it's because, they don't care about this work. It's because I feel that I feel like I need to go into hiding because I don't feel like anyone actually wants to hear my story. My story is too much. My story is too little. And then there's the meaning that you assign to it, such as, well, I'm afraid that if I really show up as who I want to be, then people are going to judge me. They're not going to accept me, that they're not going to buy from me anymore. If I really show up as who that person is, that is who I am. There's that fear, the classic fear of judgment, the classic fear of rejection, the classic fear of I won't be accepted for who I am, or I'll lose everything I've built.
mm,
And that's the story that's being told about the symptoms. So again, there's a whole mess
yeah.
that's being made. No wonder that they're stuck. But then when we go underneath that and we start to, and it's different with every individual person, which is why I love doing this work, one-on-one. I also have group programs, but I really love when I'm working intimately with these leaders, that you go underneath that. You go, okay, well, what if we take away the story that you're telling yourself? What's really happening right now? And what I can tell you is that when we go down and we drop into the root of what's happening, these stories that they're telling themselves are just a way for the mind to be able to explain and rationalize what's happening in the body, which is deep inside. There's a very scared little boy or little girl
Mm,
who believes that they're not enough, they're not worthy because of an experience or a series of experiences that they lived out when they were very, very young that left an imprint on their nervous system, that left them marked. And every person, we have our own version of that. We have our own version of that. But it could be that childhood memory of you standing on a stage, at 7 years old, looking out, performing in front of a crowd, and looking around and seeing that your mom's not there and feeling unworthy. And ever since that day, all the body wants to do is relive that moment of unworthiness so that
mm,
it can heal itself and liberate itself and turn that into a memory instead of something that's happening subconsciously in the now present, because the subconscious mind does not know the time. It does not know everything is happening right now. And so we have a series of these subconscious programs that run very deep. They run so deep that we can't see them, because if we could see them, we would do something about them, right?
Right.
But we
Yeah.
can't see them. And so because they run so deep, and because maybe we haven't yet looked at the root of what's happening here, then what happens is that it will manifest into the story that you tell yourself, because there's a deep feeling of unworthiness. Now there's a huge narrative around how you're not worth being supported. Now there's a huge narrative that's been created in your mind about how every time you put yourself out there, people don't pay attention. You don't matter. It's not, your voice is not important. And because you told yourself that story, then life, the material world, has to reflect back to you your belief system. It has to reflect back to you what you believe about yourself. And so that's when you see yourself investing in the newest Facebook ad strategy that just completely doesn't work, or your team, the person that's running it takes advantage of you. And that's where you see yourself unconsciously hiring the people that are going to let you down, unconsciously posting at a time, posting something, and then creating a story about why people aren't responding to it or reading it. And so
Mm.
we begin to assign meaning to our reality based on how we feel about ourselves. But that's not because that's the ultimate truth of reality, but it's because that's how you're choosing to interpret reality, to give meaning to the reality. I had a mentor once say to me, like, how do we know what we want? How do we know what we want?
I, in my case, in my case, I just, when I truly, the question here, and excuse me if I'm pausing here. What I want is just choosing me. It's coming from my soul. But when I try to, when when I try to justify it, it's just my mind, or usually it's
Mm-hmm.
on the way. But I've been
Mm-hmm.
discerning in that way. If I want something, is because my soul is wanting to experience that through me. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
And I'm going to take it a
sometimes,
step further. Yep. Go ahead.
yeah, and sometimes it's so big that my mind is just like, that is not, or whatever. And I'm telling my story, like you said, that is not possible, like, oh, whatever, or that is too ambitious, or I'm putting labels. But when I say pure desire, I know that it's coming, it's something that lights me up, and it's come from my soul.
Yeah. So I'm going to add to that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something that might test some people listening. How do we know what we want? What you want? You look around your life right now, you have what you want.
Oh God.
And for some people who love what they see, great. Good news, right? For some people who are like, how do you hell would I want this? This will piss a lot of people off.
Yeah.
But if we look at how the subconscious mind works and the nature of how we create our own reality through the mind, what we want, we have. It's all around us. So how does that make sense? If you don't think you have what you want, there's a part of you that wants it.
Yeah.
What's that
Yeah.
part?
Damn
So
it.
it's subconsciously living. Why would you want to hire somebody who's really difficult and gives you a hard time? Why would you want to put all this energy and effort on, posting certain content and not have people respond? It's because there's a part of you that believes that you're not important and that you're not worthy and that you're not meant to be supported. You don't deserve support. And if that part of you is alive and unchecked and is just being allowed to run that belief system, then you are going to unconsciously skip the person who would actually really support you in your hiring process. And you're going to go for the one that you feel really good about that's going to let you down.
Because yeah, like it makes a lot of sense.
So
And
you get what you want.
shit, yeah. I do have a question here, Celine, and I know, like you mentioned, this is for the one-on-one close proximity, and every single one of us are different. And I must totally agree with you. This thing is gonna push some buttons. It's gonna trigger some people. Because at first, when I was aware of this, I was like, what in the hell I created? That is not possible. Like, it's impossible that I'm living this and I choose, or some part of me is enjoying this shit, like enjoying me not to having or not to living where I want to live. What part of me is choosing that? But I would love to ask you this. When things were working really, really, really good, amazing clients, beautiful house, this is an amazing relationships, and at one point or another, everything went to shit. How, why was that? I mean, what do you think is because that season was just a pump, a motivation, some energy called motivation or willpower, but the reality, the root, it was still not healed or helped.
When I see this happening, just quite common, it reminds me of this quote that I don't remember the exact quote, so I'm going to paraphrase it, which is that there's a point in our journey where all we're doing is learning how to heal ourselves and how to tolerate pain, how to like overcome pain.
Yeah.
But then we hit a point where we need to actually learn how to tolerate joy.
Mm,
And what I've noticed with a lot of people who are on their personal growth journey and are exactly what you're saying here, it was all going well, and then boom, kaboom,
yeah.
is that there's this point of it's going too well. Something's got to be off. And if we haven't done our work to expand our ability to be with, I say this, it's really funny to say tolerate because you would think, oh my God, why would I ever tolerate joy? But that's what happens. To literally expand your capacity to tolerate the goodness, to tolerate joy, especially for those of you who have grown up in family environments that were very chaotic, where the rug was being pulled from under your feet. Those of you who grew up in conditions where you didn't have the love, the safety, the protection that you needed, or it was inconsistent from your primary caregivers. When that happens, people don't know how to actually be
Paul.
hold or be held in how much life can give you, in
Mm,
how much you actually can have, in how good it can get. It's actually an exercise in and of itself to expand your capacity to be able to have the incredible relationship and the health and the business and the thing, and to be able to accept on a fundamental level that it is possible that you can have all of that without it going into distraction.
yes, so
And
good.
when that belief system hasn't been cultivated within, then what people will do is that they will find a way to self sabotage. They will find a way to have something go wrong with their business, to choose a relationship or to have something go off with their relationship, to find something that goes kaput in their life so that they can get back to their familiar state, which is I need to fix it. I'm not worthy. Something's wrong. If you see this person, you see, I told you that this person would betray me. I told you that all men are pigs. I told you that women can't be trusted. It's like we find ways to prove ourselves right about the thing that could have gone wrong.
Mm, to go back to
As a
yeah.
correct, as opposed to the unfamiliar state that takes nervous system expansion and growing your capacity and your window of tolerance for beauty, for goodness, for joy. That would be, oh my God, I've never experienced this level of harmony and beauty in my life. And it gets better than this. This is my baseline. That's a muscle that we need to work into. Some people maybe grew up in that, and God bless them. I don't think that's who's listening right now, because that's probably listening to this podcast episode and drawn to this episode for a reason. But for whatever reason, that, if you reflect on your history, you reflect on your life, you reflect on everything that you've been through and really start to see what are the ways that you actually might believe that next month you won't make the income you're making, that next year your business will go kaput, that your relationship that you're currently in, something's going to be pulled out from under you. Because those are the ways, those are the hooks that leave us open to self-sabotage when we're least aware.
And
That needs to be looked at, and when I work with my clients, we need to look at these habits, these patterns, the belief system. Because even when you start to make progress, and even when I work with people and they start to see these incredible results in their life, it's very tempting to take a very big step backwards and make decisions that will pull them back, because there's like, I can't believe this could actually be that good. So it's
yeah.
about stabilizing into that unfamiliar, elevated way of being.
Mm. This feels this feels so good. Like you said about this, instead of tolerating the shit, it's actually tolerating the good. It's actually saying to ourselves, and not only saying to ourselves, I'm pretty aware of the word that we do require, expanding our capacity to hold it and to receive it and to normalize it. Like you said, this is my baseline. This is this
Mhm.
this is who I am right now. This is what do I get to experience and even more.
Mhm.
Or another belief, and this is was one of the things that I used to hold. It was just too easy. It's gonna be just so easy for me. It's so easy, and what's next? So, and I due to that thing, I was just causing, like you said, sabotaging myself and going back and making things complicated to prove myself that it was not easy at all, that I have to
Mhm.
suffer, I have to pay or whatever. But I think this is a kind of profound work, like you said, that it gets that actually produce those long-lasting results, because we go into the root, we go into the trauma, we go to the body. It's not only the mindset, it's also to the body to uh I'm not gonna say to remove the trauma or the trigger. I will say to actually to be with that, see it and release it in one sense and replace it for the thing that we want.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is so profound, Celine. I would love to, before we wrap up, if you can share with us where we can find you, what are the ways that we can work together with you, and after that, I'm going to ask you the question that I always ask my guests before we wrap up.
Sure. So how you can find me. You can, to learn more about my courses, my group program, which is called Business by Soul, and my private coaching, you can go to www.celinedacosta.com. It's spelled CELINNEDACOSTA. And there you can find, there's 3 tiers through which you can work with me. Tier number 1 is private one-on-one coaching. We have limited spots available, but if you're feeling really pulled and called, you are welcome to apply. Tier number 2 is group coaching. I have a group coaching program called Business by Soul, which, as the name suggests, is all about how the energetic mindset and strategic work that you must do in order to create a very successful, impactful, and prosperous business in alignment to your soul purpose. So you can learn more about that there. And then tier 3 is my self-led courses. I have, for those of you who are interested in how to tell your brand story, I have a course on that. I have a course on money energetics and how to heal your relationship with money. I also have a course on subconscious reprogramming and how to reprogram your mind for success in the next year. So there's a lot of gold in there as well. You can also find me on social media at Celinne Da Costa on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm currently most active on Instagram, so you're welcome to drop me a DM if you love this episode. Say hello to me there. And last but not least, if you really, if you want to get the profound nuggets, if you really want to dive into this work with me and do so, just getting to know me better, I highly recommend that you sign up for my email newsletter. I post things and I write things in there that I do not post on social media. So I go super deep in there, and it's CelineDaCosta.com/newsletter. And I welcome you to come in and receive my updates there. And yeah, that would be the places and spaces where you can find me and stay connected to me.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love the fact that you have different levels of entry levels, because one of the things that I really admire from you and from all the leaders that are making amazing, they're not only making amazing things in their business, but also in their lives, is that they're all walking with integrity. They're like receiving people and allow them to choose where they want to be, or the level of commitment that they want to be, that they want to have with themselves. Because when people are coming to or programs, containers, their commitment is with themselves, and they get to choose what entry level, right? This is so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There's no pressure there, and when there's no pressure, everything gets to work really, really well. But with that being said, and by this point, I know the answer, but I would love to hear from you. What is your superpower, Celine?
My superpower is my ability to bridge spirit with logic.
Mm.
It's my understanding and connection to, the spirit realms, energetic realms. You can many different ways to energy, you could say simply. And also my deep understanding of the material world, logic, reasoning. And I find that many times people are either living over there in the woo-woo spiritual energy, like what's going on, ascension,
Yeah.
spirituality worlds. And other times people are really, really logical, left-brained, can't really seem to understand how, always asking the question, how. And somehow, somewhere, for whatever reason, I feel that, well, I've been put on this earth plane for many reasons, but one of them is to be able to facilitate, to be a translator, to be I think about it as the UN, like someone in between who's walking the bridge, to bridge, like, hey, here is how this translates. And
Mm.
this thing that feels inaccessible, it's actually very doable. You just need to take action here and here and here. And this thing that you need to take action on, no, you actually need to have faith and trust more. And being able to bridge that in a way that creates more harmony, balance, and embodied understanding in people's lives.
Yeah, it's like having this marriage between the spiritual and the material, which is actually the material is the last stage of the spiritual. If yeah, it is. Thank you so much, Celine. It was amazing having you here. This is one of the interviews that I didn't even call an interview. It was like a masterclass here. Thank you. Yeah, it really was. So for all of you guys, ladies that are listening to this podcast, after listening once, come back again and take some notes, because it was really, really powerful. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
We'll see you next
My
week.
pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here. Your presence is greatly appreciated, and it truly means a lot to me. If you could support us by leaving a 5-star review, it will help us to connect with more extraordinary and influential women like you. With that being said, thanks once again, and let's look forward to an amazing and legendary week ahead.